Hi guys, I am John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. Today we're looking at 100 Bullets 70, still introducing new characters like this is the beginning of the book, and things are starting to accelerate pretty fast, but the story is also getting pretty loose when it comes to the Trust. When it comes to the Minutemen, it feels like things are accelerating. When it comes to the Trust, it feels like it's chaotic. And that's a feeling that I'm expressing as a reader who is reading one a day, out of order in the beginning. But now I think I've got here to the end pretty straight through. It's only 30 more issues. So this one starts with the funeral of Axel Nagel, who I mistakenly called Axel Trent yesterday, the guy who was given the pill by Javier Vasco in the elevator, a scene that took 2 issues to complete. And now we are at his funeral. Megan Dietrich, along with, that's Javier Vasco, that's Kreitz, this would be Augustus Medici, and that would be Axel Nagel, who was one of the people with Megan's father, something Dietrich, and Mr. Shore yesterday when they approved Graves as leadership of the Minutemen. They didn't really approve it, they just acknowledged it. It had already happened. The Minutemen decide who their leader is, apparently. But these are arbitrary institutions. The Minutemen and the Trust. That's what's so fascinating about this book. It defined a microcosm for itself that wouldn't in real life exist. Partners would have come in and gone out. These families would have become huge enterprises like anything, like every corporation. Beretta, I think, is still a privately held, family-owned company. There's not a lot of those with 200 or 300 years of history. And Beretta probably has behind-the-scenes partners, but that doesn't change how good this story is. It doesn't change how much this works for television or movies. And the thing that I notice about reading something like this is that it is so foundational to most of the other fiction that I've consumed over the last 20 years. We've seen these scenes played out in other TV shows. It happens all the time. They're paint by numbers in a lot of cases. The scene where someone gets some sort of celebration at the beginning and there's this big exposition about who they are and what they've accomplished and where they are in life, and then something changes. This is one of those scenes. This could be the starting of a movie. Funerals, they always start movies at funerals, at weddings, at retirement parties. So now we get the next scene where this guy is out buying sausage from this fella here, and this is Rome. He was introduced yesterday as the driver of the car that went out to the pier in Atlantic City where the Minutemen burned somebody before they took a drug that scrubbed their memories. I don't know if Rome remembers everything or not. It's not clear, not in this issue. But he's out here talking to this butcher who happens to be Jewish. And this is a illustrated joke. This is really kind of clever. These two guys are talking about how his wife is pregnant again, but she already has 2 kids by 2 different men. She got pregnant when she was young, and she's Puerto Rican. She has a Puerto Rican son, I believe. And then she moved to New York and got pregnant with a black guy. And so now she has a black son. And he says, "God damn, man, your family is a joke." So what are you talking about? A Puerto Rican, and here uses the N-word, and a Jew walk into a bar with their mother. And of course, this guy doesn't like this. So, I mean, naturally he's insulted, right? Who wouldn't be? That cuts a little to the bone, as they would say in a butcher's shop. I love that this looks like the Hall of Justice in Super Friends, but I'm sure it's some well-known building somewhere like Atlantic City. I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's what Hall of Justice was based on. Regardless, this guy then takes that opportunity to tell Rome that his brother Remy is stealing from the deliveries to one of the restaurants and selling the meat on the side. Rome still works for his family, which is a butchery, and that's why, tasting the meat, talking with the butcher, talking shop, and then this guy is paying him for meats that have been delivered to his shop, but he's also taken this opportunity to tell him that his brother is stealing from one of the restaurants, one of the high-end restaurants, and he's selling really expensive beef at chuck prices, apparently, and that restaurant happens to be owned by one of the criminals of the city, who they are going to be in very serious trouble with once he realizes he's being ripped off. And this is a great 4 pages. And when it comes to story writing, the way this went, now it started off with him insulting this guy, and he's actually doing him a good turn. He's insulting him in turn, but he's also warning him. So yeah, this is the scene where he explains that he's selling the meat, and this is Rome's reaction. I like his jacket too. It's a very late 90s jacket. And now we cut back to the funeral. Axel Trent, obviously, is where we are right now. This is not Carlito Fulvio's funeral. This is Axel Trent's funeral. And these are his Axel Nagel, not Axel Trent. Axel Trent sounds better. Axel Nagel's a bad name. I expect better out of Brian Azzarello. But maybe he did it on purpose. So these are his kids. The other houses, apparently, of Daniel Perez, who I guess didn't have kids. I don't know for sure. Anwar Madrid, whose daughter Rose had been murdered by Wiley at least 5 years ago, I'm guessing. And then Carlito Fulvio's kids were killed. I love this house. And I remembered in Danger Girl, we saw that this was an awesome detail to get. A house done by J. Scott Campbell that had been changed when someone else inked it a couple issues later. And houses matter. Houses background matters. And he might have grabbed a Better Homes and Garden, to do this. And I'm really paying attention to what he does with blacks. That this book is a master class on spotting blacks, because I have really struggled with that. I overdraw, and my cross-hatching was never that good. There's almost no cross-hatching in this, but that's because he spots blacks so well. And I've never given Clem Robbins any credit. He's the letterer, and this reads like butter. It's so smooth. And of course, that's the page layout too. There's so many things that go into a comic. It really, it's like a team for a Formula One race car. It's not just the driver. And is the driver of a comic book the writer or the penciler? It'd have to be the penciler, right? The penciler can do the writer's job. The writer can't do the penciler's job. That's one way to look at it. But then again, can the driver do the mechanic's job? The mechanic can do the driver's job. So on a race team, is it the chief engineer or the jockey, the pilot? It's teamwork. It's all about teamwork. And so here's Megan walking with Augustus like she's on his team. And he is the guy who just tried to have her killed. Or was it the Minutemen? Was it Graves? We don't know. Is sitting down with these two, explaining that they'll be well taken care of. And here Javier Vasco comes over and explains that not only will they be well taken care of, they're going to be included. But there's a caveat. And this is the first time we see this. This is one of those things that I remember, and we don't get to it just yet. But they were invited into the room for the little summit they're about to have, while this guy is getting meat slammed. It took me a while to figure out exactly what was happening here, but someone is sliding a cut of beef towards this guy, and he gets out of the way just in the nick of time, and that would have probably hurt. It's probably 400 pounds of beef, or maybe 200 pounds. If it's frozen, it would have hurt worse. And this is Remy sliding the meat toward this guy. Heinz Meats, that is the people who are being ripped off, and he tells him that's it. That's all he's supposed to deliver. The guy dropping off the meat is not the guy collecting the cash. His brother Rome is the guy collecting checks or cash, as it was the case with the other butcher. Might be checks. In a civilized world, it'd be a check. And this guy knows, You can tell it in his face. He knows that they're being ripped off, and he knows that this kid is doing it. And he tells them, yeah, that's it, and that there's not supposed to be any more dropped to them. And there's probably some still left in the truck. And they go back and forth. They have a couple jokes here, and I don't remember what they were. Hold on. And it looks like Remy is working at Heinz Meats because this guy tells him to be on time, and he says he'll be here bright and early. He says you couldn't be either one if you had a gun to your head. He says, screw you too, boss. Yeah, have a good one. Just one. So he's an incorrigible smartass, 22, 25. And I'm not sure if he works for exactly how this is Heinz Meats, but the truck says Tex. He tells him to lock it up and leave the keys. So I'm not sure how the ownership of the company works, but somehow their mom's involved and Rome is involved. And this is Remy, and he's out at the bar having drinks with his friends. And he's not just having drinks with his friends. He is a, inveterate schemer. He tells his friends that he has a plan to go out and rob the houses of dead people while the funeral is going on because you know that no one will be there. That's pretty ruthless. And these guys tell him that's pretty ruthless. It's about as ruthless as you can get. But it's a clever thing. It's a clever crime noir bit to put in a comic book. And so Remy's brother Rome comes into the bar and interrupts him and demands that they have a conversation where he accuses him of stealing meat. And he says, no, I'm not doing it. And we had this conversation before, and you don't have to tell me again. You already told me, and not after the last time. And it's obvious that he is lying, and it's obvious that his brother is not that there's no consequences for lying, that because it's family, he gets forgiven. And this story has been played out in so many other TV shows before and after this came out. This isn't original to this. I'm not saying it is. This is every Fargo episode. This is every, I don't remember State of Grace, but if there's drugs involved and corruption and money and crime, you always have the character who's ripping off the boss. It's in Japanese Yakuza movies. And I love how this is kind of funny. I just noticed this. Rome's coat is perfectly done, but Remy, they were just like, fuck it. That's too much to put that in. Here they did. Eduardo Russo went out of his way to make the coat, fit the body. But then after that, he's just like, nah, just Wolverine it, just Batman, I've seen it too many times in other DC comics. Just lay it in there. They're not paying me enough to go and Rembrandt that shit. But it always looks good when it's done that way, doesn't it? I remember seeing Josh Middleton do a cyclone fence in Runaways that was just incredible. All his work for those that early, it was right around the same time that Josh Middleton broke into Marvel. And then I think either his rate went up really high or maybe he's still working there. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing now. I didn't follow his career. Runaways, NYX, the stuff that he was working on. I think he became a cover guy for a while. His interiors were next level, though. So, what's going on? These two have an argument. He tells him tomorrow's mom's birthday. They go back and forth. Swear on the life of your mother. No, I wouldn't do that. Tomorrow's her birthday. Did you get her anything even, you jerk? This scene, this is really, it's in everything. It's foundational. And so is this funeral scene too. Both of these, and I don't mind the back and forth cutting. I want to do straight through, I don't want to do any head hopping, what head hopping means is who's the main character of each of these bits, right? Who's the main character for this scene? Does it matter? Is it Megan? Is it these kids? It's probably her. Is it this old lady? Maybe. It's not even a real scene until it cuts, right? Who's the main character here? Obviously, the kid is fucking up. The kid is the fool in the tarot. If if you could lay out tarot cards for each of the scenes about who's in control, this is, and the Fool obviously is not in control, but his card rules that scene, right? This is still the Fool's scene, only now he thinks he's a magician. Now he's stepped up his game. He's the second card now, right? But here, almost immediately, he takes a fall. And he's being, he's meeting the Emperor or the Hierophant, or I think the Hierophant means magician, or he's meeting the priest, or one of the other cards is asserting control over the Fool. And the Fool still has a clever comeback at the end. He's still the character who has something smart to say at the end. And he's not wrong. Don't forget to get Mom a present for her birthday, right? It could have been the older, more responsible brother, but then that doubly, like now it seems like the older, more responsible brother is just about the money. He's just about the discipline. He's all business. He doesn't have any heart. Whereas the Fool, the jester, is all heart. And this is why 100 Bullets is a stand above comic, because other writers would have made the jester the complete clown, not just the complete clown, but the asshole. And tomorrow he'd show up with flowers from some woman's grave or someone else's funeral and trying to give them to Mom. Whereas this one, he's the one with the heart and he's all business. And that makes them complex characters and not cardboard cutouts. And that's why this book is a cut above. That's why I am doing this video. I've been looking for reasons. Why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time doing this? This is the reason why. This is why this is better, is because the kid remembers tomorrow's Mom's birthday. And you, big brother, you're all business and you forgot. Meanwhile, at the funeral, I don't remember this guy's name. This might be Mr. Shore all these years later, because we just saw him for the first time the other day. Obviously, this is Augustus Medici. This is Helena Kasha. That's Javier Vasco. These are the two who are getting a pass. Megan has just been shot. And this whole time, Augustus Medici is talking about, they tried to kill me, and then they tried to kill my son. And now Carlito Fulvio is dead in revenge. He does not mention that Megan was shot at all. She gets no credit, like Steve Jobs not crediting Wozniak and the other guys for whatever computer on all those keynotes in the Michael Fassbender, Seth Rogen movie. It's the same bit. He doesn't say shit about Megan getting shot, and she is pissed. And she's pissed that these other two are getting a pass. And it really, this bit right here, in a lot of ways, Augustus Medici is overplaying his hand, because not only is he saying that Helena Kasha and Javier Vasco get a pass, he's also saying that the kids of Axel Nagel who committed suicide will be allowed to remain at the table. The house will stand. But there is always a caveat. They have to choose. I'm going through this a little bit too fast. I want to leave the artwork up for a second, because this is the bit, this is the catch, right? This is the catch for these two to continue. I think this is his wife, the mom. They have to choose no, she's not the mom. They have to choose only one of them. Apparently the mom was already dead. So at this moment, they can both be there, but next time there can only be one. And and given her position in the frame, I don't remember which of the two of these survives, which of them make it. But given her position in the frame, I'm going to suggest that it's her. I think this is the old lady who was nice to Megan Dietrich in issue 24 and 23, where Hank was angry at Benito for beating him at cards, and she wanted to go out drinking and playing at the casino, gambling. And now we get home, and this is Rome getting home to his mom. And he knows that Remy has been stealing, and his mom has made dinner. They have a good relationship. He obviously lives at home. And she made him dinner, and he said, veal cutlets? And she's like, no, chicken. Your brother doesn't like veal. And can you take out the trash? And he does. And he's mad. This is the part that is... This is what growing up on the East Coast is, right? He feels trapped. I'm guessing he does not know that he's a Minuteman. He had some, maybe just his Minuteman memories erased, because this is not the behavior of a Minuteman right here. He takes out the trash and slams the shit out of the garbage can, metal garbage can, and to the point that his mom has to ask him if everything's okay. And he says, yeah, he's fine. I love the old car in the garage. I've been drawing cars last few days. So I really love seeing that. I also I didn't mention this, I love seeing the trash cans in the garage right here. Garage details you can make a garage look beautiful or horrendous. In real life and in comics. And I have got to be paying attention to that for something I'm working on right now. So, 100 bullets, number 70. Looks like an Oldsmobile Cadillac. I don't know who has that grill. But anyhow, 100 bullets. Lucky ones die first. The hills have eyes. Number 70. This would have been 2005, I'm guessing, by this point. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.